Is your Cane Corso barking all of the time? Maybe it's driving you absolutely mad, or you're getting in trouble with your neighbours complaining about how much your Cane Corso barks. Well, don't worry, because that is exactly what I'm going to help you with in today's video. Welcome back to the Fenrir Cane Corso show. If you are new here, my name's Will. I'm a canine behaviourist and I'm the founder and CEO here at FenrirCanineLeaders.com. And this channel is dedicated to teaching you everything you could ever possibly want to know about the glorious Cane Corso and then how to become a high-level canine leader that can raise perfect Cane Corso companions. So if you love Cane Corsos as much as we do here on this channel, start your journey by hitting that subscribe button and turning on the notification bell so that you'll never miss a future upload. So let's dive into today's video, and today we're going to be talking about stopping your Cane Corso from barking too much. Now, as a canine behaviourist and one that specialises in large, powerful guardian breeds, and I do personally have a deep love and passion for the Mastiff breeds, and in particular Cane Corsos, I do work with a lot of them, and one of the common problems, usually one of the lower level problems that we have to deal with in terms of Cane Corsos, is about excessive barking, and in particular when neighbours start complaining about just how much their Cane Corso's barking.
Hey guys, very quickly, I just wanted to interrupt and let you know about our bootcamp program if you've never heard of it before. It's the program that as a canine behaviourist I use every single day with all of the clients and all of the bad behaviour cases that I work with to high levels of success. It is focused on teaching you how to become a high-level canine leader that is able to restructure the relationship with your dog so that they see you as that leader and they know to look up to you for guidance and direction. When we achieve that, we can then finally address those bad behavior problems and get to the point of having the perfect canine companion that you've always dreamed of. So if you want more information about our bootcamp program, the link will be down in the description box below. But until then, let's get back to the video you were just watching.
So if you're struggling with your Cane Corso barking, don't worry, there's lots of things that we can implement, whether it's to be proactive and preemptive to stop it happening in the first place, or whether you've already got established negative behaviours of excessive barking and you want to implement a bit of a behaviour modification program to address it as quickly as possible. I'm definitely going to help you with that in today's video. Now, first and foremost, we have to dive into what to a lot of people may seem obvious, but unfortunately some people may have quite underestimated this side of a Cane Corso. They are born and bred guard dogs. Not just guard dogs, but they are one of the best guard dog breeds on the planet. Barking is very much well within their realms of what is expected from them and what is innately built into them. If they sense any kind of threat, somebody that shouldn't be there, they are going to sound an alarm in the form of barking. So if your problem, your concern is when the postman comes to the house to deliver something, your Cane Corso is exploding with lots of barking. When people come to your house and knock on the door, your Cane Corso explodes with some barking. They are all completely normal behaviours, and I would not come in and try and correct those behaviours out of a Cane Corso, because that is simply not fair to them, and that was your mistake for choosing a breed that has such an innate desire to respond in that way. Now, where we can work on is that we can get to a point with our Cane Corso where that type of barking, that alert guardian barking kicks in. We can let them know, thank you, awesome, I will take it from here because I am in charge and I am your calm, consistent leader. And we're going to talk about some of those areas in a minute. Now, that's kind of completely normal barking. The problem where that comes in is if you can't turn it off. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Now, excessive barking might be barking at you or your family members or inanimate objects, or being obnoxious with their barking. That often stems as a learnt behaviour where that level of excessive barking gets them what they want. Now, whether that's usually praise and some attention is often the most common cause for those kinds of things. Now, if you're finding that you're not able to turn that kind of barking off, it's a clear sign that you are not your dog's calm, consistent leader, and you have a massive breakdown in communication of being able to ask them to stop doing something that you don't want them to do. So we're going to focus on those two areas of barking because they're the two most common areas. Now, both of those things need to be underpinned, and even more so with a Cane Corso, not just for barking, but every area of that Cane Corso's life with you. You must be that dog's calm, consistent leader. You must be a calm, consistent leader yourself and a high level one, and that dog must see you as that and look up to you for guidance and direction. If you don't have that established, you will never get anywhere with your Cane Corso, and unfortunately they become a disaster waiting to happen. So if that is the root cause of these behaviours, now with barking, not necessarily that's always the case. With the obnoxious barking, it often is, because a high level canine leader would never let that negative established type of behaviour occur in the first place, because they would understand what's going on, utilising basic operant conditioning. They'd be aware of that problem and they would nip it in the bud. So when I get a client within that realm, we always go through our boot camp process that allows them to understand what's required of them to be a high level leader, and it allows them to restructure that relationship with their dog. That's always where we start. Now, the other type of barking can be one or the other. That can very much still happen if you aren't a good leader and you haven't got that relationship. Now, if that's the case, again, we start with the boot camp process and we restructure that relationship and we work on all the incredible things that come with that process. However, maybe you are a calm, consistent leader, but you're just having a little bit of difficulty being able to get the dog to shut off when it's doing something that is completely acceptable and normal. And that's where a little bit of obedience work can come in. We'll talk about that second. We're going to start with the kind of more obnoxious type behaviours. When we go through that boot camp, I would probably say 8 times out of 10, simply going through that boot camp process fixes that problem, because the owners start to see where it is that they're accidentally reinforcing this negative excessive barking. They start to naturally unpick that because they are increasing their leadership skills, and that naturally solves that problem. If it doesn't, then we'll add a correct, redirect, reinforce-based approach to that negative behavior of excessive barking. So when that excessive barking comes in, rather than going, "Oh, sorry, buddy, how are you?" and accidentally reinforcing it, we go in with a very stern verbal correction. It can be a no, it can be an ah. Now, if that verbal correction isn't responded to, again, it's a clear sign that the dog doesn't respect you as a calm, consistent leader and someone that it has to look up to for guidance and direction. If you have got that good relationship, that strong, stern verbal correction, no physical required, will be more than enough to snap them out of it and snap them from that attention. We then redirect them into an appropriate behaviour. I like to simply use a sit and stay. Once we have then got them into a sit and stay quietly, we might start with 5 seconds. We then give them some praise and reinforcement. Then we bump that to 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. What we don't want to do is have it the same every time and the dog to learn, well, the process of me getting what I want is bark, sit and stay, and then praise. But it's about the process of getting the dog to understand. Sometimes we might verbally correct them, put them in a sit and stay, and then completely go back to what we're doing, and then completely ignore any further obnoxious behaviours. We have to mix it up. But once you go through that boot camp process and you have a better understanding of operant conditioning, of being able to purposely promote and praise desired behaviours and very purposely ignore and correct undesirable behaviours, over time the undesirable behaviours come down and the desirable ones come up. It's a very straightforward process, and it's something that we go through simply like that. It's a very quick verbal correction to let them know, because we now have this established relationship and this clear communication path of I am in charge, you do what I ask you to do, and you stop doing things when I ask you not to do them. We use my verbal correction to let you know that's not a desirable behaviour, and over time, with consistency, calm, consistent leadership, we implement that plan consistently. The obnoxious behaviours come down. The desirable behaviours of being a calm, content, well-mannered, quiet dog come up. Problem solved. Fantastic. That's a very common process, a very common behaviour modification program that I go through for these kinds of behaviours. And I've never had a client that has implemented it properly fail going through that process. If they're willing and dedicated to learn what it takes to be a leader and implement the process, it will work. Now, let's jump over to the other side where we're alert barking. So again, we've had that little bit of a difficult discussion that if you didn't want a dog that will alert bark, you messed up because you shouldn't have got a Cane Corso. We're not going to get that out of them. And I refuse to utilise severe punishment methods to almost abuse that behaviour out of them. Yes, there is people out there that would utilise a protocol like that, and would it fix it? Yeah, maybe, but I'm not prepared to do that to a breed like a Cane Corso. The knock-on effects of breaking them down and that lack of trust and them having a relationship based on fear as opposed to a relationship based on trust and leadership, it's not something I'm interested in. I like a nice balanced approach. Yes, we do dip into corrections, but we don't ever dip into abuse and fear tactics. So with that kind of behavior, okay, awesome, you've sounded an alarm. Have we established that relationship utilizing our boot camp protocol? Fantastic. If we have, that's step number 1. And then we move on to step number 2. If we haven't, start there, same principle as before. Then I really like to utilize a place command with a Cane Corso. Any guardian breed, this is very common what I do with German Shepherds as well, because they are very common for these kind of behaviours. With Cane Corso, someone comes to the door, boom, alert goes up. Not really willing to abuse that out of a Cane Corso, they're simply doing their job. But we need to be able to come into that environment and say, thank you, that's enough, you can stop now, go to your place. The best thing to utilise for that is a raised bed, and we go through a process of very distractionless, teaching the dog the place command. So we lure them onto the place. We then use the command place. We use a lure, mark, reinforce based approach. Very straightforward. We lure them onto it. We put them on a sit and stay. We mark it. We reinforce it. We keep them there until we tell them to break. We do that no distractions, very positively, fantastic. We build it, build it, build it. We extend the amount of time that we ask them to go in a sit and a stay until we ask them to break. We do that as part of our obedience sessions that we should always be working on with our dogs, and layer it up nice and slowly, nice and steadily, until we get to a point where we can start drilling people coming to the door. So you might get a neighbour or a friend knock on the door, and we'll keep the dog on a lead to start with. Knock on the door, reaction goes off, sound the alarm, completely acceptable. We then utilise the place command, fingers crossed, they take themselves to the place command the first time, sit, wait quietly. We can then open the door, we keep them in the stay command, and then we might welcome them in, shake the hand, send them away, shut the door. We might open the door, have a conversation, shut the door. And we try and desensitize this approach of, cool, awesome, you've let me know there's someone there, I appreciate that. Now you need to go and sit and wait there patiently until I tell you you can break. If I welcome somebody into my home and let you break, you can now come and meet them nicely with the other areas of standard relationship that we have with our dog, utilizing good manners where they don't jump up. They can come and greet them in their own time, and it's a very positive experience. But being able to have that ability to send your dog to a place, you take control of the situation and you know that they will remain there until you tell them otherwise, is how I like to go about this more alert type barking with a Cane Corso. Now in those first few drills, especially if they've had this established habit for a long time, running up to the door, at the window, rah, 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 rah. Again, they're just doing their job. It might be a little bit more difficult to snap them out of that because the blood will get a little bit pumping, that adrenaline will be there, which is why we use a lead. So for those first few repetitions, we might have to use a lead and take them to the place and go back to basics. Because if we ask them to do something, they must follow through with that. We don't ever allow them to ignore us. So we take them to the place, we put them in a sit and stay. Again, then we might go to the door, open it slightly, keep them there. You might have to have a friend hold the lead and keep them in that sit and stay, and as long as they stay there, we can then mark, praise, reinforce, and we just build it up, make a really fun, enjoyable game out of it that not only fixes the problem but also furthers that relationship with you, it furthers that communication with you, and it has knock-on trickle effects to all the other areas of your life with your Cane Corso. So that's how I go about dealing with the two most common types of excessive barking with a Cane Corso. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button for me. I really appreciate it when you do. If you are new here and you want to see 2 new Cane Corso videos every single week to ensure that you have a perfect Cane Corso companion, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you'll never miss one of our future videos. And I can't wait to see you on the next episode of the Fenrir Cane Corso Show.